Oyez, oyez, oyez. Comes now the College of Law to present its 132nd graduating class. Would all present rise for the procession of university officials, the faculty of the College of Law, and its graduates. Please be seated.
Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. It is my honor and great privilege as the Dean of the West Virginia University College of Law to welcome you to this very special event on a very special, beautiful spring day. For 132 years, the WVU College of Law has fulfilled its mission to educate lawyers who will become leaders in the state, the nation, and the world, and commit themselves to the pursuit of justice. Today, our graduates will go forth into the world, But before they do, let us reflect on the time we have spent together and celebrate this day as a milestone that marks the end of one journey and the beginning of their future in the legal profession. Commencement is a joyous time when we formally recognize the achievements and accomplishments of our graduates. However, before we recognize our graduates, I think it's very important to recognize those persons who, through their constant support and sacrifice, made it possible for our graduates to be here today. Would the parents of the graduates please stand for applause? The spouses of our graduates, please stand. And how about the very special children of all of our graduates? And those very, very special members of every family, the grandparents. And finally, the friends and relatives who care so much about the graduates. If you'll please stand. Thank you all so very, very much for your support and encouragement of our graduates. They would not have made it without all of you. And thank you for being with us today. This afternoon, we are pleased to have with us to celebrate this wonderful occasion many distinguished guests who join us to witness this hooding and commencement ceremony that celebrates the many accomplishments of our graduates. Some of our guests will participate in the ceremony and will be introduced later in the program. But I would like to take a moment to recognize the following persons who have joined us today to participate in honoring a very, very special person who has been selected to receive an honorary degree at our ceremony. I would ask the following to please stand. WVU Board of Governors Chair, Carolyn Long. And if former WVU President Emeritus Jean Budig would join me on the stage. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. WVU Faculty Senate Chair Nigel Clark. Chair of WVU Staff Council and Board of Governors member Joe Morrow. WVU Vice President of Legal Affairs and General Counsel William Hutchins. Dr. Stephen Kite, Senate Faculty Representative. And WVU President Emeritus and College of Law Professor David C. Hardesty. David C. Hardesty and I understand Dr. Stephen Kite nominated our very special guest, former WVU Interim President C. Peter McGraw, who will receive an honorary doctorate of law today. We are honored to have you all here today, and welcome and thank you for attending our ceremony. The hooding ceremony has its origins deep in medieval history and in the history of educational institutions. In medieval times, universities were truly a collection of separate colleges, each of which was devoted to particular disciplines and professional training. At commencement each year, the faculties of the colleges met, examined their students, and upon finding them to have satisfied all of the requirements of the college by vote of the faculty, a hood was provided to be invested upon those persons who were recommended to the university as being qualified for the degree. Over the years, hoods became colored according to college and discipline. We are delighted on this day to follow that tradition. We invest the members of the graduating class of 2010 with the Purple Hood of Law, signifying that these men and women have been found qualified and worthy to receive the degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence. At the College of Law, our hooding tradition can be traced back to the deanship of the late Paul Selby, Jr., who began the hooding tradition in 1965. Today, the College of Law's hooding tradition remains one of the highlights of commencement weekend on the campus of West Virginia University. During each spring commencement weekend, the university confers honorary degrees to distinguished individuals in recognition of their outstanding achievements. This honor conveys the pride the university takes in those who, through their education and use of their education and abilities, seek to improve people's lives. Those we are honoring this weekend have reached the very pinnacles of their professions. Their commitment to excellence makes them ideal role models for today's graduates. Our honorees this year are President Bill Clinton, Dr. Diana Mason, and our guest today, Dr. C. Peter McGraw. Each are accepting West Virginia University's honorary doctorate degrees this weekend. Dr. Nigel Clark, WVU Faculty Senate Chair, Professor and George Berry Chair in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, will introduce Dr. C. Peter McGraw as he accepts his honorary doctorate of laws. Dr. Clark represents our exceptional WVU faculty who influence our nation's progress through teaching, research, and service. Former WVU President and Law Professor David Hardesty will hood Dr. McGraw, and our presiding officer today, Board of Governors Chair Carolyn Long, will confer the honor.
Dr. C. Peter McGraw is one of the nation's preeminent leaders in higher education and one of its most eloquent voices for the life-changing power of land-grant universities. He served as president of 3 major universities: State University of New York at Binghamton, the University of Minnesota, and the University of Missouri. For 13 years, he represented public colleges and universities on the national and world scenes as president of the National Association of State Universities and Land-Grant Colleges. In 2008, he chose to serve as interim president of WVU during a leave of absence from his current position as senior presidential advisor to the College Board. Dr. McGraw brought immediate stability and increased prominence to WVU. During his year-long tenure, he oversaw the early implementation of WVU's Advanced Energy Initiative, directed the restructuring of student health service to improve quality and efficiency, helped to reestablish service learning opportunities for college students throughout the state, and led WVU's delegation of students to the Clinton Global Initiative for Universities meeting. Now, it's expressly forbidden to deviate from the script at one of these graduations, but Peter McGraw loves limericks, and so here we go. There is a fine fellow, McGraw. Through his life, he's had honors galore. Then he came to our hills, showed us his skills, and so we will give him one more. The entire WVU community is grateful to Peter McGraw for his wise and principled service. I present C. Peter McGraw.
C. Peter McGraw, in recognition of your distinguished career and dedicated service to West Virginia University, and by the virtue of the authority vested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws and all of the rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. In testimony thereof, I present to you the diploma and cause you to be invested with this hood.
At this time, I am delighted to introduce Ms. Brittany Nicole Ranson, President of the Class of 2010. Brittany will tell us about Professor Year Anne Lofaso, the member of our faculty voted by the graduating class to receive the award of Professor of the Year.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Dean McConnell, faculty, family, friends, and future colleagues from the class of 2010. It is my honor to be here to speak with you about the Professor of the Year. But before I do, I'd like to talk to you about my incredible classmates. 3 years ago, my classmates and I embarked on a journey together, a journey that some of us had dreamed about since we were young children and worked toward throughout our entire lives. Others already had advanced degrees or promising careers when they decided to pursue their dream of becoming an attorney. But regardless of how or why we found ourselves together, the fact is that 3 years ago, the individuals from the class of 2010 came together. For many, the first day of law school was filled with excitement and uncertainty. We knew that our 3-year commitment would be filled with challenges, even though most of us were only concerned with getting through that first week of classes. But we did. And for the next 3 years, we not only overcame each challenge, but we excelled and grew stronger. We found that together, our challenges didn't seem quite so insurmountable, and that together, the strengths of one became the strengths of many. It is those strengths that I would like to talk to you about today. The class of 2010 is compassionate. One student spearheaded an effort to send tents and supplies to Haiti in the wake of the devastating earthquake that left many homeless. The PIA, Public Interest Advocates Group, managed to raise $25,000 this year under the leadership of our class, even in the face of the recession that struck our country. And finally, the clinic, which is run by members of our graduating class, provided an estimated 19,000 hours of free legal service to our community. Together, we have a deep awareness of the need in our community, and we can help. The class of 2010 is innovative. As the only law school in West Virginia, it's important that we embrace our energy roots while looking for innovative methods to promote energy use in a sustainable way. Our class has done just that. The Moot Court Board, under the leadership of our class, has laid the foundation for a national energy law moot court competition that will be held annually at the College of Law. At the same time, we accept the responsibility that comes along with being an energy state. The West Virginia Law Review hosted a post-SAGO mine safety symposium that called for creative dialogue on issues of national and international importance. Together, we can find innovative solutions to the problems that affect us. The class of 2010 is progressive. Under the leadership of our class, several organizations hosted symposiums that focused on future trends in the law. For instance, the Sports Law Society hosted the first ever hip-hop symposium that focused on hip-hop's effect in a way that it has changed the way we view the law. Additionally, while Congress was debating the health care bill, the West Virginia Law Review hosted a health care symposium that focused on how rural West Virginia would be affected. Together, we can respect the foundation of the past and embrace the ideas of the future. The class of 2010 is generous. Each year, the class purchases a gift for the law school in appreciation. This year, the class raised enough money to donate 2 outdoor cafe tables, with the dean graciously matching our purchase. These cafe tables represent a continuation of the dean's vision to create a common area of shared communication and shared learning. It is our hope that the students in the years to come will be able to gather at these tables and share their strengths, just as we have done. Together, our generosity will ensure that our legacy succeeds. And finally, the class of 2010 thinks locally. We are consistently using our education to advocate on behalf of West Virginia's citizens and to increase awareness about the issues that affect our state. One student, with the help of Professor Anne Lofaso and President Emeritus David Hardesty, was able to get a resolution passed this year in the West Virginia legislature that created a Labor History Week in West Virginia. The resolution encouraged public schools to teach students about West Virginia labor history and about workers and their contributions to the state of West Virginia, both past and present. While we understand the importance of thinking locally, the class of 2010 is aware that national and international issues affect us all. We are thankful that the law school has educated us to become leaders in handling the global challenges of the 21st century, while never forgetting our West Virginia roots. Together, we can strengthen both our local and global communities. The class of 2010 is comprised of compassionate, innovative, progressive, generous, locally thinking individuals. And each of these strengths has been nourished by the faculty and the staff and the vision of Dean McConnell laid by the foundation of Dean Emeritus John Fisher. When shared, these individual strengths have become even greater and have played a role in the success of the school as a whole. Because of that, my classmates and I are proud to have contributed to the West Virginia University College of Law becoming one of the top-tier law schools in the nation. Together, we have helped to shed a national light and well-deserved recognition back onto the College of Law and West Virginia University. And now that our law school journey has come to an end, it is our hope that future law students will continue to build on the legacy left by the class of 2010. And graduates, we can leave today confident that as we continue to learn from the strengths of others and continue to move forward together, that our success is sure to follow. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Class of 2010 Professor of the Year. Choosing a professor was no easy task. Each professor at the College of Law has a unique and special educational aspect that they add to the educational experience. But this year, my classmates and I chose Professor Anne Lofaso. Professor Lofaso was born in a small borough of Long Island, New York. Her father was a Sicilian immigrant, and her mother hailed from a family of famous musicians, one of which produced hit songs like Give My Regards to Broadway and Yankee Doodle Dandy. In 1982, at the age of 16, Professor Lofaso met her husband. They have now been happily married for 13 years and have a wonderful daughter, Georgie. In fact, her husband is also graduating from the university today with a master's in statistics. In 1987, Professor Lofaso became the first person in her family to get a college degree. She received a Bachelor of Arts in History and Science from Harvard University, where she graduated magna cum laude and was on the Harvard diving team. She then went on to receive her JD from the University of Pennsylvania Law School in 1991. In 1997, she earned a PhD from the University of Oxford in England, where, as a Fulbright scholar, she wrote a dissertation about the American, British, and European legal responses to mass economic dismissals. Professor Lofaso began her career as an attorney for the New York law firm Milbank, Tweed, Hadley, and McCloy, where she practiced in the Bankruptcy and Business Reorganization Department. From private practice, she moved to the National Labor Relations Board, a federal agency where she spent 10 years litigating cases before the United States Courts of Appeal and advising the Office of Solicitor General on labor-related issues. She is a member of the New York State Bar, the United States Supreme Court Bar, and the bar of several circuit courts, including the 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, and D.C. circuits. Professor Lofaso has authored 7 law review articles and published 2 books, mostly in the area of labor and employment law, but also in the area of law, science and religion, and sports law. In fact, she'll be publishing a book in the coming months with West Virginia University College of Law professor Andre Cummings titled Reversing Field, which examines commercialization, labor, gender, and race in the 21st century sports law. 4 years ago, when Professor Lofaso interviewed at the WVU College of Law, she knew immediately that this was the place she wanted to be. Today, she is more convinced than ever that this is her dream job. In her words, she feels like this is an academic environment that allows her to flourish in a way she hasn't felt since Oxford. When I told Professor Lofaso that she had been nominated and chosen as Professor of the Year, she said that one of the greatest recognitions she could ever receive was being recognized from the student she teaches. Well, this is an even greater recognition for her because she has grown up with the class of 2010. We are the first graduating class that she has been with all 3 years, and our members contain her very first peer group in our first year of law school. Professor Lofaso currently teaches courses in labor law, employment law, and the law and socioeconomics, and beginning next year, jurisprudence. Her dedication to her students does not end in the classroom. She is the faculty advisor to several student organizations, including the Moot Court Board, trial advocacy team for the ABA Labor and Employment Law Competition, Women's Law Caucus, and Students Organized and United for Labor, an organization dedicated to educating people about the rights of workers. William Butler Yeats once said that true education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Well, please join me in welcoming a professor who has lit a fire in the hearts and minds of so many of the students that she teaches, Professor Anne Lofaso.
Brittany, I am deeply touched by those generous words of introduction, and I'm overjoyed with the honor your class has bestowed upon me to deliver your commencement address. Board Chair Long, President McGraw, Dean McConnell, Judge Berger, Mr. Hostler, faculty colleagues, distinguished guests of the College of Law, and other cherished guests of our graduating law students. Today we celebrate the latest of many achievements of the class of 2010, their graduation from a top 100 law school. It is with great pride that I participate in their commencement. Please let me take only a few moments of your time as I share with these remarkable students my hopes and dreams for them as they step into the future as members of this honorable profession. Graduates, I have 3 messages for you. First, commit yourselves to protecting the relationship between law and justice. Second, rely on the 3 core values of our state and our university in nourishing that relationship. And third, have courage. Let me begin with your commitment. A few years ago, you decided to accept our law school's offer to educate you into the ranks of our profession. You did not choose to attend medical school or some other graduate program. You decided to attend law school here at WVU. There were many reasons for that decision. The likelihood of earning high pay, the status, the power were perhaps some of the more practical reasons for your decision. And while graduate education makes those things more likely, you don't really need a law degree to earn good pay in a high-status job. Yet, you chose law as your profession. Let me suggest to you that perhaps you chose law because deep down you actually believe that there is or should be a relationship between law and justice. And earning that law degree empowers you to massage that relationship as an insider. Many generations, not just yours, have witnessed a breakdown in that marriage. Indeed, it is a well-tested one. At times, that relationship has been severed by war, other times in peace by people who say little or do nothing about nascent forms of injustice. But one thing is clear. Many forces work to disregard the connection between law and justice. I recall a time when I thought naively that this connection was ironclad, at least for Americans. It was spring 1993. I was attending graduate school in England and living in a college town about 5 to 6 times the size of Morgantown. I recall walking with my friend, another graduate student, through the Christchurch Meadow, a large green field adjacent to one of the college dorms where cows roamed freely. The walk's tranquility, the pasture's greenery, and the animals' liberty inspired me to turn to my friend and remark on how fortunate we were to be Americans living in a time of peace. After all, only a short time earlier, the Berlin Wall had fallen, the Soviet Union had collapsed, and the Gulf War had ended. Of course, there was war and injustice all over the world, but none of it seemed to affect me, so it simply didn't exist for me. From my vantage point, the world was as tranquil as my walk, as peaceful as that meadow, and as free as those cows. I could not foresee the destruction war would wreak in Bosnia, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Rwanda, and other places around the globe. I certainly did not foresee violence on our own soil. Perhaps I could not see the carnage because, after all, it hadn't happened yet. Or perhaps my eyes were wide closed, unable to admit any perception of injustice that didn't affect my own perfect world. We now find ourselves in a very different world than the one I found myself in 1993, a world affected by events that will come to characterize your generation, a world more interdependent than ever before, deeply connected by trade, the internet, and energy production. But is this world, at this juncture, really any different from the post-Pearl Harbor world some other graduate student walking through Christchurch Meadow in 1942 would have found? And is my world of 1993 any different from the post-war world another graduate walking through that meadow in 1946 would have found? So I say to you, both as an omen and as a sign of optimism, the world changes rapidly, for worse and for better. And while all of us can, as Gandhi suggests, be the change we wish to see in the world, we lawyers have the unique power to manipulate that change by ensuring that the law echoes justice. So I challenge you to be the change you wish to see in the world and commit yourselves to ensuring that the law is faithful to justice. This brings me to my second message. Invoke the core values of West Virginia and West Virginia University. Just 4 years ago, I too decided to come to WVU as an academic. In my short time here, I have noticed 3 core values held dearly by the people of West Virginia and the members of this grand university that, if incorporated into your mind, heart, and soul, will give you the insight I failed to have in 1993 when I thought that doing nothing was sufficient to maintain one precious moment of tranquility. These core values are community, spirit, and liberty. Community. West Virginia is a proud state whose children are the sons and daughters of coal miners, coal mine operators, military personnel, teachers, nurses, doctors, electricians, entrepreneurs, and yes, some of you are even the children of lawyers. But whatever your background, you are all connected by a sense of community. After all, where else would you find drivers letting you cut into a long line of traffic at rush hour except in West Virginia? This sense of community is woven into the fabric of our state. I pause to relate a solemn story. One of my students graduating today recently told me that his high school had been used as a morgue for the miners who perished in last month's explosion. While our community knits these tragedies to us in a way uniquely West Virginian, we must also consider ourselves truly fortunate to be naturally bound by this sense of community, a spirit that is only enhanced, not created by sport, the creative arts, public interest work, community and public service. It is a spirit that comes not from our leaders imposing it on us, but from within our people. Spirit. I noticed the Mountaineer spirit early on before I ever moved to Morgantown when I was first interviewing for a position here. It was homecoming weekend. I was staying at the Waterfront Hotel where I ran into many alumni. These former students, some in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, never lost for words, struck up conversation after conversation with me and my husband about what a wild and wonderful state West Virginia is to live, work, and raise children. These former students freely reminisced about their time at WVU, often where they met their spouses or their best friends or their business partners. These former students believe in this state and in this university 25, 35, and 50 years later. Having lived here for 4 years, I now realize that they have taken that spirit to transform their lives. West Virginians are the most generous people I have ever met. We stop during snowstorms to help those stuck in the snow. We mow our neighbor's lawn because our neighbor just had knee surgery. And we never give up. That's Mountaineer spirit, knowing what others don't always know, that we are creative, clever, and courageous. In the face of adversity, we persevere through the winter and even help our competition who is stuck in a ditch of snow because it will soon be spring for all of us. We are generous of spirit, and we have learned through our sense of community that it is better to welcome everyone into our ranks than to exclude outsiders. That welcoming community spirit enhances both the whole and each of us as free individuals. Liberty. Our spirit and our sense of community never overshadow and are never overshadowed by our fierce sense of independence and liberty. That's the mountaineer in each of us, a person who gives freely to others, but who also can successfully face adversity alone when the winter is unforgiving and there is no one else around. We have learned to depend only on ourselves, but that lesson never stops us from recognizing that human life is frail. And so we give to our brethren who in better times might have been self-sufficient. Let me submit to you that there is no better recipe for creating a just legal order than to educate a group of intelligent people who bear witness to the core values of community, spirit, and liberty. How better to construct a more just world than to nurture it with community, spirit, and liberty. How better to enhance the basic human rights of every individual than to recognize that we are all interconnected, all dependent on one another in a community whose members generously give of themselves. My third message to you is, have courage. You enter this profession in a year of record high unemployment. And while many of you have already secured jobs, many others have shared with me your fears about landing any job in this economy, let alone a job as a lawyer. My class faced the same issues 20 years ago. And indeed, my husband faces the very same issue as he graduates this summer from a graduate program in the Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. So let me tell you what I tell him. Your calling awaits you. In these times of famine, that calling is perhaps more difficult to harvest. Perhaps it's just out of reach, but it is there, and you know it. So I challenge you today to have courage. Dig deep. Know yourself. Know your calling. Rely on yourself like our courageous mountaineer, but recognize that sometimes even you will need help. So rely on other mountaineers to help you when your skies are gloomy. There will be many days for you to pay the favor forward to other members of our community. Let me finish now with my personal thoughts about today. Over your lifetime, it need not matter whether you graduated first or last in your class today. It need not matter whether you have 10 accolades after your name is announced or none. Today is your commencement. Tomorrow, everyone still has to study for the bar and pass it. Tomorrow, everyone still has to do the things that enrich life and make it rewarding. And while it might be easier to do some of those things the harder you work to earn merits in law school, it is never too late to make the courageous decision to put into action what you learned here in West Virginia and at WVU. Community plus spirit plus liberty are the ingredients for the good life anywhere, anytime. Never give up hope when the skies are gloomy. Never stop doing when the skies are sunny. The world changes rapidly, and the only thing we can control is what good we can do while we're here. That's Mountaineer spirit. That's WVU community. That's West Virginia liberty. And that will lead to a just legal order. Thank you, congratulations, and good luck.
Thank you, Professor Lofaso. At this time, I would like for the faculty of the College of Law to please stand and be acknowledged. For the past For the past 3 years, the faculty has been central in the transformation of these graduates from students to men and women on the threshold of a career in law and in the pursuit of justice. I am looking for my bailiff.
The Justitia Officium Award is given in recognition of outstanding contributions and service to the legal profession. It is the highest honor the College of Law can bestow upon an individual. Established in 1978 in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the founding of the College of Law, the Justitia Officium Award is presented annually. An individual bronze plaque is mounted in the lobby of the West Virginia University Law Center bearing the recipient's name and the year the award was presented. A native of McDowell County, West Virginia, Judge Irene Berger is married to David Howe and lives in Cross Lanes, West Virginia. Judge Berger graduated from West Virginia University in 1976 with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in mathematics. She then graduated from West Virginia University College of Law in 1979. After graduation, she was a staff attorney with the Legal Aid Society of Charleston until 1982. She then joined the office of the Kanawha County Prosecuting Attorney, where first she served as the Assistant Prosecuting Attorney and then became the First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. In 1994, she became an Assistant United States Attorney for the Southern District of West Virginia. In June 1994, she was appointed by Governor Gaston Caperton to fill a vacancy as Circuit Court Judge of Kanawha County for the 13th Judicial Circuit of West Virginia. In November of 1996, she was elected to an unexpired term of Circuit Court Judge and was then elected to full terms in 2000 and 2008. During her tenure on the bench, she was assigned by administrative order to the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals to sit temporarily as justice of that court in instances of recusal. In 1996, she was named Woman of the Year by the Charleston Area Business and Professional Women's Club, and in 1997, she received the celebrated Women's Award for the West Virginia Women's Commission in the category of government. In 2000, she was named an Outstanding Woman of Achievement by the Charleston YWCA and received the West Virginia University College of Law Women's Law Caucus Distinguished Woman in the Law Award for the Public Sector. In 2002, she was named a Fellow of the West Virginia State Bar Foundation and honored as a West Virginia African American Woman of Distinction by the West Virginia Women's Commission. In 2003, she was named a Fellow of the American Bar Association and given the Mountain State Bar Association Merit Award. In 2004, she was awarded the Community Champion Award by the KISRA and honored as a Distinguished West Virginian by then-Governor Robert Wise. In 2006, Judge Berger was named Outstanding Alumnus of the West Virginia University Alumni Association, and then in 2008, she received the Alumni Award from the Department of Mathematics in the West Virginia University Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. Judge Berger has previously served as a member of numerous civic and professional organizations. She is currently a member of the West Virginia University Student Affairs Visiting Committee, the University of Charleston Board of Trustees, and the West Virginia University Foundation Board of Directors. On November 9, 2009, she was appointed by President Barack Obama to the position of United States District Court Judge for the Southern District of West Virginia. Charleston attorney Stanley M. Hostler's service to WVU began in 1959 when he moved to Morgantown to establish and lead the WVU Institute for Labor Studies. A native of Bellwood, Pennsylvania, he is a graduate of Gettysburg College in 1951 and then the Pennsylvania State University in 1955, and finally received his Doctor of Jurisprudence from WVU in 1965. In 1982, he participated in the certificate program Comparative Labor Law at Oxford University in Oxford, England. He is a veteran of both World War II and the Korean War. Mr. Hostler is a retired partner of the law firm of Goldberg, Persky, Jennings, White, and Hostler, specializing in labor and employment law and serving as special counsel to the West Virginia AFL-CIO. His current activities include special counsel, Prim Law Firm, PLLC, Vice President, Protea Biosciences Incorporated, Morgantown, West Virginia, and Special Counsel, Health Sciences and Technology Academy at West Virginia University. He is a member of the West Virginia and American Bar Associations and a member of the Judicial Committee for the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. His varied history of service also includes business manager for Local Union 71, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, West Virginia Assistant Attorney General from 1965 to 1966, Assistant Professor, Industrial Relations at the Pennsylvania State University from 1957 to 1959, and a teacher and athletic coach at Cumberland High School in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania from 1954 to 1957. His generous support of the arts and education in West Virginia, particularly the underserved, is most evident through his contributions both financially and through his time to a program that links minority and disadvantaged high school students to health professionals on colleges and university campuses. The West Virginia University Health Sciences and Technology Academy is designed to encourage these young students to pursue their dreams of a career in the health sciences. He also created a scholarship fund to enable underrepresented WVU students to attend medical school and to support hundreds of West Virginians and Pennsylvania youth to visit the world-class Carnegie Science Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania each year. Mr. Hostler also supports programs at the College of Law, WVU Children's Hospital, the WVU Alumni Association, WVU Athletics, Extension, and other campus units. He currently serves as a visiting committee for the WVU School of Medicine and is an active member of the Athletic Council of the Mountaineer Athletic Club. He has served on the WVU Foundation Board of Directors. As well, Mr. Hostler and his wife Virginia are members of the Woodburn Circle Society. In 1997, he was honored as the most loyal alumni Mountaineer, and in 1999, WVU's Health Science Auditorium was dedicated in his honor.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Kristen Dawn Antolini, a member of our graduating class of 2008. She is going to sing for us My Home Among the Hills, composed in 1963 in honor of West Virginia's centennial celebration by Clarksburg native Mr. E.W. James. Thank you, Kirsten.
There's a land of rolling mountains where the sky is blue above, and though I may roam, I hurry home to the friendly hills I love, where the moonlit meadows ring with the call of whippoorwills. Always you will find me in my home among the hills, and where the sun draws rainbows in the mist of waterfalls and mountain rills. My heart will be always in the West Virginia hills. Their autumn hillsides are bright with scarlet trees, and in the spring the robins sing, while apple blossoms whisper in the breeze, and there is music in the flashing streams, and joy in fields of daffodils, laughter through the happy valleys of my home among the hills.
Thank you very much. That was absolutely spectacular. At this time, we will individually recognize the graduates, the moment you all have been waiting for. But before we begin, I want to take this opportunity to recognize a special group of students who have distinguished themselves at the College of Law. I ask at this time that those students who have been selected as members of the Order of Coif to please stand. Selection to the Order of the Coif is recognition of outstanding scholarly achievement and contribution to the College of Law. West Virginia University has had a chapter since 1925. Its members are selected by the faculty from the top 10% of the graduating class, who at the end of the 6th semester rank highest in scholarship. To be eligible for selection, a student must complete all classroom work within the West Virginia University College of Law. Congratulations to you all on this scholarly and significant achievement. We welcome your participation in this celebration as you share with your loved ones the accomplishments that we recognize today. We invite you to express your enthusiasm in any appropriate way you would like. You may come forward to take pictures, and there's plenty of room up here as your graduate receives his or her hood. However, I request that you please hold your applause until after the name and the students' achievements are read. Today, some of our graduates will be hooded by immediate family members who are graduates of the WVU College of Law or are members of the bar. As part of our ceremony today, Chairwoman Carolyn Long of the WVU Board of Governors will confer the degrees and award the graduates their diplomas. We are indeed honored that Chairwoman Long has elected the College of Law's ceremony as one that she will preside over this weekend. I would like to now introduce Chairwoman Long to lead the conferral of degrees.
Where's my speech?
To center, you move to the center with me.
Drannon L. Adkins of Ballard, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. R. Ruffner Alexander, Jr. of Charleston, West Virginia. Angel Bailey of Cassidy, West Virginia. Christopher Bailey of Charleston, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Catherine Jean Beersley of South Charleston, West Virginia. Elizabeth Ann Belch of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Order of the Barristers, Moot Court, Lugar Trial Association, and Clinical Law Program. Jessica Spencer Benedict of Wheeling, West Virginia. Order of the Barristers, Lugar Trial Court Association. John L. Berardinelli of Wheeling, West Virginia. J. Todd Bergstrom of Buchanan, West Virginia. Order of the Coif and Law Review. Aaron Allen Berry of Morgantown, West Virginia. President, Sports and Entertainment Law Society. Kristen Blatt of New Martinsville, West Virginia. President, Labor Law Society. Jeff Bowen of West Hamlin, West Virginia. Law Review. Jeffrey Stewart Bowers II of Sugar Grove, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Jeffrey will be hooded by his father, Jeffrey S. Bowers, WVU College of Law graduate of 1980, and grandfather, James Paul Gary of WVU College of Law class of 1955. Danielle Elizabeth Boyd of Charleston, West Virginia. Danielle will be hooded by her aunt, Judith Hamilton, a member of the Maryland State Bar. Jonathan G. Brill of Yellow Springs, West Virginia. Moot Court, Clinical Law Program, President of Veterans Law Caucus. Stephen Ramsey Broadwater, Jr. of Charleston, West Virginia. Lugar Trial Court Association, Clinical Law Program. Stephen will be hooded by his father, Stephen R. Broadwater, Sr., a WVU College of Law graduate of 1977. Patrick Brooks of Glen Fork, West Virginia. Clinical Law Program, President of Next Generation West Virginia. Chelsea Virginia Brown of Morgantown, West Virginia. Order of the Coif, Law Review. Chelsea will be hooded by her father, Ronald Brown, a WVU College of Law class of 1967 graduate. Angela Brunicardi Doss of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Immigration Clinic. Toby Buell, Jr. of Cross Lanes, West Virginia. President, WVU Law Movie Club, Joint, MBA JD. Toby will be hooded by his father, Toby Buell, Sr., a member of the Florida State Bar. David Butler of Smoot, West Virginia. Moot Court, Entrepreneurship Law Clinic, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. Crystal Rachel Canterbury of Alum Creek, West Virginia. Order of the Coif, Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, and Law Review. Brittany Stansberry Carper of Mount Sidney, Virginia. President of the Christian Law Association. Brittany will be hooded by her surrogate grandfather, Frank L. Summers, Jr., a member of the Virginia State Bar. Samantha Louise Chapman of Bridgeport, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. President, Alliance for Social Justice, Magistrate Court Mediation Training Volunteer. Sherry Lynn Sheffrin of Carolina, West Virginia. Justice, Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International. Sherry will be hooded by her cousin, Jameson Kropp, WVU College of Law graduate, 1999. Rachel Marie Sipolot of Beckley, West Virginia. Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Clinical Law Program, President of Public Interest Advocates. Caroline Clark of Charleston, West Virginia. Joint MBA JD. Caroline will be hooded by her brother, Clifton Clark, WVU College of Law class of 2005. James C. Clevenger of Weston, West Virginia. Candace Haley Cook of Oceana, West Virginia. Order of the Coif, Order of the Barristers, Moot Court. Lori Counts, St. Albans, West Virginia. Joseph Kramer, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Order of the Coif, Law Review. Jeffrey Cullip, Beckley, West Virginia. Lugar Trial Court Association. Nick Dalton, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Benjamin G. Davison, Clarksburg, West Virginia. Order of the Barristers, Moot Court, Volunteer Incomes Tax Assistance Program, Magistrate Court Mediator. Amy Dawson, Lost Creek, West Virginia, President, WVU Environmental Law Society. Lindsay Marie Evick of Fairmont, West Virginia. Law Review. Lindsay will be hooded by her fiancé, Constantino Amores Jr., member of the West Virginia State Bar. Sarah Fergale of Charleston, West Virginia. Moot Court. Sarah will be hooded by her father, Franklin S. Fergale Jr., WVU College of Law, class of 1975. Daniel Funk of Hedgesville, West Virginia. Order of the Barristers, Lugar Trial Court Association, Clinical Law Program, President, ADR Society, Mediation Program. Raymond Joseph Funkhauser III of Jefferson County, West Virginia. Jefferson County Farmland Protection Board. Jarius Tomas George of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Jarius will be hooded by his father, Joseph M. George, a WVU College of Law graduate, class of 1966. Nicholas H. Goff of Bridgeport, West Virginia. Order of the Coif, Federal Judicial Externship. Jacqueline A. Gonzalez of New Martinsville, West Virginia. Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Law Review, Clinical Law Program, Women's Law Caucus, West Virginia Fund for Law in the Public Interest, Mediation Program, and Magistrate Mediation Training Course. Eugenia Peteva Gospodinova, Burgas, Bulgaria. Immigration Law Clinic, President, International Law Society. Eugenia will be hooded by her mentor, Heather Graham of Oakland, Maryland. Nathaniel Griffith of Washington, Pennsylvania. Lugar Trial Court Association. Stephen Grubbs of Boone County, West Virginia. Moot Court, President, Labor Law Society. Jeffrey Michael Gustafson, Clarksburg, West Virginia. Lugar Trial Court Association, Clinical Law Program, President of the WVU American Constitutional Society. Stephen Richard Hall of Barracksville, West Virginia. Crystal Ann Harper, San Fernando, Trinidad and Tobago. Order of the Barristers, Moot Court, Lugar Trial Association, Clinical Law Program, Pro Bono Volunteer, Mediator at mediation sessions and legal services to the underprivileged residents of West Virginia. Ashley Victoria Harvey of Blacksville, West Virginia, Moot Court. James Haslip, Fulton, Maryland, Lugar Trial Association. James will be hooded by his brother, Michael Haslip, member of the Maryland State Bar. Katie Leanne Hicklin, Bath County, Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Jennifer Hicks, Charleston, West Virginia. Stephanie P. Hines of Morgantown, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program, President, Republican Law Caucus, Pro Bono Volunteer. Stephanie will be hooded by her mother, Christine C. Wang, WVU College of Law, Class of 1994. Amy Jo Hawley of Ravenswood, West Virginia, Order of the Coif, Law Review. Melanie L. Hoover of Erie, Pennsylvania, Moot Court, Entrepreneurship, Law Clinic, Mediation Program, Autism Legislation Project, Legal Research and Writing. Melanie will be hooded by her father, Kenneth Wargo, a member of the Pennsylvania State Bar. Brandy Lynn Hugert of Charleston, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Brandy will be hooded by her husband, Kevin Hugert, WVU College of Law, Class of 1999. Rachel Lynn Hughes, Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Ashley N. James, Garrett County, Maryland. Andrea Johnson of Charleston, West Virginia, Order of the Coif, Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Law Review. Michael Kalani of Wheeling, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Dirk Kelly of Brownsville, Pennsylvania, Immigration Law Clinic, Volunteer Income Tax Assistant Program, Alternative Dispute Resolution Society. Caleb Knight of Worthington, West Virginia, Order of the Barristers, Moot Court, Entrepreneurship, Law Clinic. Wendy Lewis of Bakersfield, California, Lugar Trial Court Association, Clinical Law Program, President, Black Law Students Association, Fulton County Public Defender's Office, Mediation Program. Carter Lloyd, Berrysville, Virginia, Immigration Law Clinic. Jenny L. Maxey of Morgantown, West Virginia, Law Review, Entrepreneurship, Law Clinic. Jonathan Tyler Mayhew, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, Law Review, President, Environmental Law Society. Adam L. McCoy, Burnsville, West Virginia, Order of the Barristers, Moot Court. Nancy L. McGee, Parkersburg, West Virginia. Elliot McGuire, Newtown, Pennsylvania. Benjamin Klein McKinney of Morgantown, West Virginia. John McLean of Follinsby, West Virginia. John will be hooded by his uncle, Michael Guadio, WVU College of Law class of 1985. Christine Merbedone of Fairchance, Pennsylvania, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. Christina will be hooded by her brother-in-law, Jeffrey L. Arnett, WVU College of Law class of 1999. Ryan Mick of Fairmont, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Brian Timothy Mills of Valdesa, North Carolina, Immigration Law Clinic, President, Federalist Society. John David Moschel of Dallas, Texas, Clinical Law Program. Jasmine Morton of Webster Springs, West Virginia. Jasmine will be hooded by her mother, Joyce H. Morton, WVU College of Law class of 1980. Joseph Marion Moscow of Bluewell, West Virginia. Russell Nakaishi of Morgantown, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Bethany Nichols of Summersville, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Tiffany Brooke Opp of Parkersburg, West Virginia, Magistrate Court Mediation Program. Diana L. Page of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Lugar Trial Association. Ryan Michelle Posey of Scott Depot, West Virginia, Moot Court, Jessup International Law, Immigration Law Clinic, President, Alliance for Social Justice. Anna Melissa Price of Charleston, West Virginia, Law Review, Clinical Law Program. Alan Lee Pritt of Winfield, West Virginia, Entrepreneurship Law Clinic. Charles William Ralston, Salt Lake City, Utah, Law Review, Immigration Law Clinic. Brittany Nicole Ranson of Charleston, West Virginia, Order of the Barristers, President, Class of 2010, Moot Court Legal Trial Association. Brittany will be hooded by her father, Mike Ranson, and her mother, Lynn Ranson, both graduates of the WVU College of Law Class of 1982. Kwame Samuda, Marlton, New Jersey, Lugar Trial Association. Matthew Shreby of Wheeling, West Virginia. Regina Nicole Scott of Washington, D.C., Moot Court Entrepreneurship Law Clinic. Virginia Elise Shoemate, Princeton, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program. Vincent J. Smith of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Jonathan Richard Southerly of Morgantown, West Virginia. Kayla L. Sowers of Morgantown, West Virginia, Law Review. Joseph H. Spano, Jr. of Charleston, West Virginia, Vice President, Class of 2010. Mary Patrice Statler, New Cumberland, West Virginia. Matthew Stonestreet of Bluefield, West Virginia, Lugar Court Association. Matthew will be hooded by his father, Wayne Stephen Stonestreet, WVU College of Law Class of 1976. Susan Sriz, Barbersville, West Virginia, Order of the Coif, Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Thomas N. Chambers Award in Taxation, Law Review. Katrina Seipolt, Reedsville, West Virginia. Katrina will be hooded by her mother, Linda Seipolt, WVU College of Law Class of 1975. Olivia Schwabnest of Huntington, West Virginia, Law Review. Donald Jeffrey Varney of Fairmont, West Virginia, Law Review, intern at Harrison County Public Defender's Office Mediation Program. James Joseph Voigthofer, Morgantown, West Virginia, Joint MBA JD. Jeanette Laura Wakeham, Wheeling, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association Clinical Law Program. Lindsay Nicole Walker of Clay, West Virginia. Justin Clay White of Spencer, West Virginia, Jessup International Law. Allison Brooke Williams of Clarksburg, West Virginia. Allison will be hooded by her mentor, Michael John Alloy of WVU College of Law class of 1983. Christopher John Williamson of Dingus, West Virginia. Order of the Barristers, Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Moot Court, Lugar Trial Association, President, Democratic Law Caucus. Patrick Wood, Cameron, West Virginia. H. Julian Woods of Charleston, West Virginia. Johnny C. Woods II of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Bernie Edward Worley III of Beckley, West Virginia. Matthew T. Yanni of Morgantown, West Virginia, Lugar Trial Association, Clinical Law Program. Travis Zeke of Wheeling, West Virginia, Order of the Coif, Law Review. Rachel Zimmerowski, Morgantown, West Virginia, Order of the Coif, Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Law Review, Clinical Law Program. Rachel will be hooded by her father, James B. Zimmerowski, WVU College of Law class of 1982. Joseph G. Bunn of Grundy, Virginia, President, Moot Court, President, Ethics Committee. Matthew Gilbert Chapman, Cross Lanes, West Virginia, Order of the Barristers, Lugar Trial Association, President of the Lugar Trial Association. Philip E. Stepp, Charleston, West Virginia, Clinical Law Program, President, Student Bar Association. Brandon Michael Stump of Kingwood, West Virginia, Patrick Duffy Kuntz Award, Law Review, Editor-in-Chief, West Virginia Law Review.
Candidates from the College of Law, yours is a field of great and unique significance in our democratic society. To you will fall the imperative of maintaining the social order and the stability that the law represents, while at the same time safeguarding the opportunities for constructive growth and change with which out a free society cannot exist. In your efforts to maintain this tolerance and this balance, may you be blessed with leadership skills, courage, wisdom, statesmanship, and eloquence. You have been well prepared by your education here in the College of Law to assume these weighty responsibilities. The College of Law's exceptionally well-qualified faculty members, under the exemplary leadership of Dean Joyce McConnell, has given you the intellectually challenging and rigorous educational experience that will enable you to practice law with distinction. I feel privileged to welcome you to the legal profession. By the virtue of the authority vested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereby confirm upon you the degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence from which you have been recommended, with all of the rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
We're going to have a few more opportunities to cheer like that. I would now like to introduce Andrew Richardson, a good friend of mine, a good friend of the law schools, and a 1982 graduate of the College of Law, and perhaps most important, the chairman of the WVU College of Law Alumni Association.
Well, she said there'd be another opportunity to cheer. Let her go. We've started a new tradition today for the College of Law. Every graduate, as they crossed the stage, received a West Virginia University College of Law alumni pin. So, class of 2010, you're the first class to receive this special emblem of graduation that we hope will become a tradition every year. On behalf of all the graduates of the West Virginia University College of Law who've preceded you, I want to extend my best wishes to the class of 2010 and congratulate you on a job well done. From this day forward, your names are forever linked to West Virginia University. The quality of a university is known by the reputation of its graduates, and when employers see that your education has prepared you to excel in the workplace, that will enhance West Virginia University's reputation and the value of your own degree. You will be this institution's best ambassadors. With that in mind, I offer this charge to you, class of 2010. First, work hard. Take risks and don't fear making mistakes. Put your education to work improving our society. Develop a global perspective and apply your efforts to creating a more peaceful and more just world. Honor the sacrifices of those who came before you and do all you can to help those who will follow. And above all, never stop learning. Read, explore, travel, and expand your circle of friends. As you build new friendships, take care to nurture those you have made at West Virginia University. Maintain your connection with West Virginia University. Show your mountaineer pride, not just on game days, but every day in every place life takes you. And let me tell you, from London to Paris to Bimini, people recognize the flying WV. Return to campus when you can to visit your favorite professors and relive precious memories. And as you leave today, consider the words of esteemed former WVU faculty member Maurice Brooks. He wrote, "Thus it is with those nurtured in Appalachia. They leave, but they look back, remembering pleasant things. The land has claimed them, and its ties will not be severed." At West Virginia University, you will always have a home among the hills. And remember, just as the sky is blue and the sun is gold, every day is a great day to be a mountaineer. Thank you.
I would now like to ask the class of 2010, parents, family members, friends, faculty, and honored guests, please rise and join together in singing the words of our alma mater, written in 1938 by WVU graduate student Louis Corson. During the singing of the alma mater, it is customary for gentlemen to remove their caps. At the close of the alma mater, we ask that the audience be seated and the graduates remain standing.
Alma, our alma mater, the home of mountaineers, sing we of thy honor, everlasting through thy years. Alma, our alma mater, we pledge in song to you. Hail, all hail our alma mater, West Virginia U.
As the 2010 hooding and commencement ceremony draws to a close, allow me to suggest that this is a day to celebrate the fact that you have mastered the academic challenge of law school. I encourage you, the members of the class of 2010, to share a few more moments of camaraderie with your classmates before each of you go your separate ways to pursue your individual lives and careers. You have had many experiences at the College of Law that will be with you for the rest of your life, and you have made many friends whom you will treasure for the remainder of your days. As you embark upon the practice of law, you will meet many challenges and have many more opportunities. During the past 3 years, we have assisted you as you have equipped yourselves with the knowledge and skills necessary to enter the legal profession. As you go forth to practice law, it is vital that you do so with such ability, honesty, integrity, and idealism, and commitment to justice as to bring distinction upon yourselves, upon your school, and upon the legal profession, and goodness, you know you can't let me down. Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2010, we salute you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today. You made this very special. This concludes the 2010 College of Law hooding and commencement ceremony. The faculty and students will now exit the auditorium, and I request that members of the audience remain seated until all university officials, faculty members, and students have left the stage. And then I'd also like to invite you to a wonderful celebratory reception at the College of Law. See you soon.